if I told you that some of the worst terrorist attacks in modern European history, they weren't committed by extremists. They weren't committed by radicals. They weren't even committed by foreign enemies, but were quietly allowed, guided, or maybe even covered up by the very governments sworn to protect their people. What if fear wasn't a byproduct of chaos, but what if it was a tool? Because tonight's episode isn't about speculation. It isn't about aliens or cryptids or secret symbols. Tonight is about something far more unsettling. Tonight is about Operation Gladio, a confirmed NATO-backed Cold War network that officially existed and unofficially may have crossed a line that democracies still refuse to talk about. This is not a conspiracy theory asking, did this exist? That part is settled. The real question is, how far did it really go? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Triple T Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and joining me as always, the wonderful co-host, Luther Grimwood. We got a hell of an episode, don't we, my dude?
Oh, we're in for a wild ride. I mean, when your episode starts with, what if your own team's playing both sides of the field? You know it's going to get intense. Operation Gladio is like the real-life plot twist nobody asked for, but history delivered. So strap in, Luther. We're about to dive into a chapter of history that's less what if, and more wait. They did what now? Let's untangle this geopolitical spaghetti, one shocking revelation at a time.
Geopolitical spaghetti. I'm sure we're going to see that on a menu after this episode. Just give us some credit, will ya? Luther, why don't you go ahead and kind of give the listeners, the viewers, a little bit of a disclaimer, you know what I mean? Just letting them know that, hey, this is, our opinions, our takes. This is a podcast that we are out here trying to have some fun, so don't take us too seriously.
Absolutely. Folks, before we jump into this twisty tale, remember, we're storytellers, not secret agents. We're digging into real history, but we're also here to keep it engaging. So if we riff on some wild angles, remember, we're here for conversation, not accusations. So enjoy the ride, but don't start your own spy network after this, okay? Let's dive in.
If you do start your own spy network, we just want a couple percentages of whatever it is that you earn, but 0% of the problems in the drama that will ensue. But Luther, what is up, dude? How's everything going for you? How's the week? Before we get into this, I just want to see how things are going. What's going on in your world?
Oh, Matt, I'm just here trying to figure out if my cat is secretly part of a shadowy network. I mean, who else knocks pens off the table so consistently? But seriously, all good. Ready to unravel some real intrigue after all. No week is complete without a little dose of Gladio-level drama, right? Let's
go, he says. Yeah, your cat is definitely a part of something. All cats are evil. At least you don't have a cat that decides to take a dump right next to the expensive litter robot that we purchased. Or all of a sudden, one of them's just deciding to shit right in the middle of the living room. So I think they're really onto something. And then I got a big old dog who just gets bored and chews everything in sight. So your cat knocking over pens, I think, is pretty good on the grand scheme of things, man.
You know what? Fair point. A pen casualty sounds like a small price compared to dog-induced home renovations or feline acts of domestic protest. Sounds like we've both got some undercover agents at home, just different departments of chaos. All right, now let's get back to our Gladio rabbit hole, but at least Luther, we've got the home front secured, or something like that.
Why do you keep calling yourself Luther? You're Luther. I'm Matt. Did you hit your head this week, or have you already jumped into the drink episode? I said that backwards. Sorry, dyslexia. Or did you already start dabbling in the episode drink? Which, mentioning, go ahead and tell everybody what you came up with for a specialty drink that fits this episode.
Oh, you caught me. I guess I got so excited I had a who's who mix-up. All right, for this episode, we're mixing up a Gladio Gambit. It's equal parts dark rum for the shadowy past. A splash of Italian Amaro because, Italy's involved. A dash of bitters because it's a bitter truth, and top it with a twist of lemon. Serve shaken, not stirred, and never trust the ice cubes. They might have a hidden agenda. Cheers.
Never trust the ice cubes. They might have a hidden agenda. I like that. Luther, heck of a drink. Hopefully everybody sits back, enjoys and sips on this. And yeah, let's have ourselves an episode. And honestly, I just want to give a quick little thanks to the friends of the show. You can see in the links in the descriptions. Our friends over at Live Bearded, they help take care of mine and Luther's beards. And honestly, my beard wouldn't be what it was today if it wasn't for Live Bearded. You guys can head on over there, livebearded.com, use code BeardLaw, save yourself some money. If you want any recommendations on some scents, let me know. I'll definitely hook you up with that. I even just bought a heavy duty iron bottle opener because it was on sale on the website from Live Bearded. It looks super cool. The problem is I don't have anything that is a bottle to use it for, so I'm going to have to get to the store and buy something bottles. And if you have a little bit too many, of the drinks that Luther made up for, you're feeling a little dehydrated, maybe you go out and buy too many bottles of beer and use the Live Bearded bottle opener, and you're feeling a little, you know what you do? You grab some squash juice. Our friends over at Squash Juice are going to keep you hydrated. Maybe you don't want the coffee to stain your teeth anymore, so you go with the energy and the focus. I am a huge fan of Squatch Juice. You guys can go to squatchjuice.com/beardlaws or use code beardlaw. Save yourself some money. 30 sticks, different flavors, and I got a pina colada, no caffeine, just focus. Super excited for that as well. So check it out. Huge thank you to them as well. And recently we just got some bro pics sent over to us. Not like bros sending over pictures, but bro pics. They're toothpicks for bros. I'm going to get them in the background in the next episode. So keep an eye out for that. See if you can spot it. See where you put it if you're watching this video on the tubes. But that's all I got. What did I miss, Luther?
You nailed it, Matt. I mean, other than a secret government handshake, I think we covered everything. So now that everyone's got their drink, their beard, their hydration, let's crack open the truth. Buckle up because this Operation Gladio episode is about to be one heck of a ride. Let's roll.
Let's roll. So, like Luther said, we should jump right into this. After World War II, Europe was terrified. Cities were rubble. Governments, they were fragile. And one fear loomed above all others: a Soviet invasion. So the United States, along with its Western allies, created a contingency plan, didn't they, Luther?
Oh, they sure did. They said, hey, what if we stash some secret stay-behind networks across Europe just in case the Soviets decide to crash the party? And thus, Operation Gladio was born, like a Cold War insurance policy, but one with a few fine print issues. It was meant to be a defensive strategy, but, well, some lines got blurry along the way.
Yeah, across Europe there was some secret, let's go with stay-behind armies that started to form. There was hidden cells of trained operatives and weapon caches and radio networks. Their mission was simple on paper, but let's be honest, Luther, it's not always as easy when you write it out on some paper, right? Because if the Soviets invade, resist from within, right?
Exactly. But as we know, the Soviets never showed up for that invasion party. So what happens when you've got all these secret networks armed to the teeth and no Soviets to fight? Well, some of those lines between defense and, let's say, domestic meddling got crossed. That's when things got real murky. Gladio didn't just sit around waiting. Let's just say it made headlines, dark ones.
Ooh, well, before we get into that, let's not put the horse in front of the cart, as they say. The networks included being in Italy, France, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, and Greece. And they operated under NATO oversight with CIA and MI6 involvement. And the Italian branch was called, you'll never guess it, Gladio, Latin for short sword.
Ah, yes, nothing like a subtle name, right? Gladio's short sword, sharp point. But that short sword didn't just stay sheathed. In Italy, it got tangled up with political extremism, and before you know it, boom, strategy of tension. Basically false flag attacks and chaos, so governments could step in as the heroes. It's like your anti-hero origin story, except, real lives were affected.
Yeah, I think Taylor Swift had a song about this, right, once, but either way, short sword, a weapon meant to be hidden and used up close. So far, this sounds defensive, logical even, right? But here's where things stop lining up, right, Luther? Because let's talk about 1990. Italian Prime Minister, I'm going to say this name wrong, so Luther, why don't you go ahead and correct me. Prime Minister Giulio Andretti.
Oh, close, but you're a gear shift away from a Formula One driver. It was Prime Minister Giulio Andreotti race cars involved. In 1990, he revealed Gladio's existence, and surprise. The Italian public went, "Wait, what? You're telling us there's been a secret paramilitary network this whole time?" That's when everyone realized this wasn't just theoretical defense. Some dark deeds had happened in the name of security.
You aren't kidding. And at this point, I mean, that was something that no prime minister, I think, has ever done, confirming that this was real. It wasn't rumors. It wasn't speculation. It was now confirmed. Weapon, the caches, they were real. Secret cells, guess what? They were real. Foreign intelligence coordination, guess what? Also real. And then judges began reopening cold cases. Cases that were supposed to be settled. Cases involving bombings, assassinations, and terror attacks from the 1960s all the way through the 1980s. And there was one little phrase, Luther, that kept appearing in court transcripts: the strategy of tension.
Ah, the strategy of tension. It sounds like a bad thriller, but it was real. The idea? Foster fear by orchestrating or allowing acts of violence so the population would lean on stronger government control. The blame was often pinned on extremists, but it seems some strings were pulled from within the house. It's a grim chapter where the lines between protector and perpetrator blurred. And that's what makes Gladio so chilling. The question isn't if it existed, it's how far it reached.
Yeah, and well, that reach was pretty reachy. It was like the way the crow flies, or whatever that saying is. I butchered that. Shall we just go to the next part, Luther?
Oh, absolutely. Let's leave the flying crows to nature documentaries. The point is, Gladio's long shadow still raises questions about who really pulls the strings sometimes. But hey, at least you and I are just pulling podcast strings, right? Onward we go. What's next in our deep dive?
And this is something that kind of we've really been hinting since we started doing the conspiracy theory style shows, is who is pulling the strings behind? And we want you to question. We want you to think and use your own brain, because it does seem that there is somebody that appears to be the puppet master. Maybe Metallica was onto something before they took down Napster and made me get a lot of viruses back in the day.
Ah, Napster, the chaos agent of our youth. But you're spot on. The key is to stay curious, ask the uncomfortable questions, and well, not download shady MP3 South. So, whether it's Gladio, the next big mystery, or just a wild theory, we're here to spark the brainwaves minus the viruses. Keep questioning, keep laughing, and maybe keep a backup of your hard drive just in case.
Wasn't that a wild time, Luther? Early internet, you're just getting it, you're able to get music, you don't have to buy it on a CD, you're technically all being a pirate. And I mean, the iPods, the MP3 players, I never had the money or desire to own the actual Apple one, so I had just kind of like a cheap MP3 player, did the same thing, played music, crappy headphones. Those were the days. I wish some days we should bring it back. If anybody's got an iPod or an MP3 player like that, let me know. I'd like to get one for the youngest so they can enjoy all of what we went through.
Oh, I feel that nostalgia. There's something humbling about scrolling through 128 megabytes of questionable downloads. If we ever do a throwback tech episode, we'll call it Operation Dial-Up, though I think we'll skip the buffering. If anyone's got an old MP3 player out there, you know where to send it. Until then, we'll stick to streaming ... but keep the vintage spirit alive. Classic tech and classic conspiracies, right?
You are right. That's one of those noises that you just can't unhear in your brain. You get it, you click it, you hit the dial up, and it just goes. It's a core memory sound, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That screechy, beepy dial-up sound is practically burned into our brains. It's like the soundtrack of patience. You'd hear it and think, I'm about to enter the internet. Eventually. Core memory. Indeed like the secret handshake of the early web. We've come a long way since, but man, that sound is iconic.
for anybody that didn't hear it, there's probably some younger viewers. Luther, go ahead and try to make the dial-up sound for all the youngins out there.
Oh, you just had to do it. All right, here goes my best impression. It starts with that KXX, then that robotic D-D dot dot, and finally that screechy ria-yi that sounds like robots arguing. Trust me, kiddos, that sound was music to our ears because it meant the internet was coming. Eventually.
That was good. There was no way I thought you were going to do this. You've really evolved. You've really taken on your co-host responsibilities. So let's keep going with the strategy of tension, because I'm starting to feel the tension between us build as I make them do funny noises. But the strategy of tension, it wasn't subtle. The idea was brutally simple. Create fear, blame the enemy, push the population towards stronger government control. If people are scared enough, they're going to accept surveillance. They will accept police powers. They will accept authoritarian measures.
Exactly. It's like, let's create the problem and sell the solution. And the scariest part is it wasn't a movie plot, it was real history. But hey, no tension between OSI'll make funny noises all day if it keeps the peace. Now when you look back, you see how fragile trust is when governments cross lines. It's a reminder to stay alert and to keep asking, who benefits? But luckily, you've got us, and we've got no secret networks, just a network of awesome listeners.
Yeah, the Beard Laws Network, right here, home to everything of, mystery, true crime, conspiracy theories, street sign story time. We get a little bit of everything in the news segment. Best moment ever, Luther. Do you want to maybe make an appearance and be a co-host on the Best Moment Ever show?
Oh, you bet. I'll bring my A game and a wildly arbitrary scoring system. We'll break down moments with the same intensity we break down conspiracies, except with more fun and fewer secret paramilitaries. Count me in. Matt, best moment ever. Here we come.
All right. So obviously, when people are scared enough and they start to accept surveillance, police power, all that stuff, as long as somebody promises safety, people seem to just kind of go with it. And according to multiple judges, journalists, and former operatives, false flag attacks were used to make left-wing movements appear violent and unstable. And if the attacks, if they weren't symbolic, they were devastating.
Devastating is right. We're talking real lives lost, real communities shattered, all for a political game. And when the dust settled, it left scars, and it left questions that still echo today. That's why talking about this isn't just a history lesson. It's a reminder. Because the next time someone says, hey, give up a little freedom for safety, we might want to double check what's behind that curtain. But hey, we learn from the past, so we can shape a better future.
Did you say moron? More honest? Were you, conversations? Were you doing a little play on words with the moron, Luther? If so, well done, my friend. Well done.
Oh, I wish I was that slick. But no, I meant more honest, though, hey, if the shoe fits for some shady figures in history, I won't argue. I'm just here for the honest chats, the laughs, and occasionally a happy accident. So, no morons, just more honesty. More fun.
I know a couple of friends in my life that were probably happy mistakes. But anyways, it's crazy how many stories that we have done and how many times in history, innocent lives were, sacrificed for a cause that the government and the powers to be and whoever's controlling the narrative thought was in the best interest. And it's honestly pretty sickening, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. When you boil it down, those decisions were cold, and people paid the price who had no say in it. That's why we poke at these stories, not just to uncover shadows, but to remind ourselves that real people's lives are at stake when power goes unchecked. So yeah, it's sobering. But if we keep shining a light, maybe next time, fewer people have to pay that price. And in the meantime, we'll keep the conversations
Absolutely,
going.
That's what we do, but let's talk about a pretty serious, devastating moment that involved this in Piazza Fontana, Milan, 1969. A bomb explodes in a bank. 17 people were killed and dozens more were injured. And the blame? Left-wing anarchists. But years later, evidence suggested neo-fascist groups were involved. groups with intelligence and, well, ties to this intelligence now, isn't it?
It was. What was first framed as a radical left attack turned out to have disturbing ties to far-right elements, some reportedly connected to those shadowy Gladio circles. And that's the gut punch. People were manipulated, not just by violence, but by the narrative around it. It's a stark reminder that when fear is weaponized, truth can be buried. But thankfully, history has a way of surfacing, even if it takes decades. And that's why we talk, so we never forget.
Yeah. Geological spaghetti servers, we are. That didn't work as well. But let's talk about the Bologna train station, which, let's be honest, that could be a really cool idea for a food truck where all you serve is like bologna sandwiches, fried bolognas, fancy ones. Like, I feel like that's going to be the move. Would you come over to my my food truck, the Bologna train station, and get yourself a nice fried bologna sandwich, a little bit of some American cheese, mustard, maybe throw in some plain Lay's wavy chips in there, or some Doritos, maybe some barbecue chips? What?
Oh, you had me at fried bologna. I'm absolutely hopping on that train. No conspiracy there. We'll call it Operation. Delicious. But all jokes aside, the Bologna train station bombing in 1980 was horrificate. 5 lives lost. That's why we balance the light-hearted moments, because behind each event, we remember real people. But yeah, after the deep dives, we definitely need that bologna sandwich truck. I'm in.
Yeah, like Luther mentions, serious moments and then a little bit of some humor to break up the seriousness. But a bomb ripped through a crowded station, like you mentioned. 85 people lost their lives and over 200 were wounded. It remains the deadliest terror attack in Italian history. Once again, the blame moved, evidence shifted, investigations, guess what, Luther? They stalled. And judges later started the intelligence agency's obstructed justice. Let that sink in. Not foreign spies, not radicals, state institutions.
Yeah, that's the chilling part. When the very institutions meant to protect truth are tangled up in obscuring it. It leaves a scar on trust. And for those families, that scar is still there. So when we talk about these things, it's not just about revealing the past. It's about demanding better for the future. And if we can break the tension with a laugh or a sandwich idea along the way, well, that's just us making sure we stay human through it all.
And like you kind of mentioned earlier, the past doesn't always stay silent. And former operatives, they didn't stay silent forever. One testified that civilians had to be targeted so the public would turn to the state for protection. Another said that the attacks were meant to kind of, as in their eyes, stabilize democracy by controlling fear. And here, in my opinion, is one of, if not the most kind of chilling parts. No one disputes that these stay-behind networks existed. The debate isn't if they operated, it's how anonymous they really were. And who, Luther, was given the orders.
And that's the kicker, right? When layers of secrecy stack up, accountability gets lost in the fog. Who whispered go down the chain? That's the question that keeps historians, journalists, and let's be honest, all of us up at night. But that's why we dig. The more light we shine, the fewer shadows get to hide. And hey, we keep asking the tough questions because that's what keeps democracy, real democracy, alive.
Yeah, that's not what keeps me up at night. Lately, it's been, why is my national grid bill so damn expensive? What do we have to do to mix things up at practice to get a win? Playoffs are coming. How are we going to shock the world? Just to name a few things. But yeah, this one definitely, it keeps me up at night. You're right. My bad.
Hey, from shadowy networks to shadowy utility bills, it's all part of the real-world tension, right? But whether it's busting conspiracies or busting through a playoff bracket, we'll tackle it with grit and maybe a side of humor. So we'll keep questioning the big stuff, and if we have to, we'll question why the electric bill feels like a conspiracy too. Either way, we'll face it head on and maybe snag a win while we're at it.
Ooh, and speaking of facing it head on, NATO had some explaining to do, because when the questions reached NATO, the response was tight and minimal. Shocker, huh? Yes, Gladio existed. Yes, it was defensive. No further comment. Parliamentary investigations in Belgium and Switzerland uncovered similar networks. Weapons caches were found buried in forests, explosives, radios, military-grade equipment. And then the story just quietly faded. There was no trials at the international level, no sweeping accountability, just silence.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate fade to black. No big dramatic ending, just quiet loose ends. And that's the part that leaves us hanging. No real reckoning, just history's whisper. But that's why we keep the conversations alive, so silence doesn't get the last word. And hey, at least on this show, we fill that silence with a little truth and a lot of laughter.
Why this still matters today? Like, does it even matter today? Well, this isn't ancient history because the strategy of tension didn't disappear with the Cold War. The logic remains. Fear creates compliance. Chaos creates control. And crisis, real or manufactured, reshapes societies. All of the C's: compliance, chaos, crisis. Unbelievable. And when people kind of ask why modern populations distrust institutions, why they question official narratives, why they instinctively ask who benefits, well, Operation Gladio is part of that answer. This isn't about left or right, it's about power and the uncomfortable truth that democracies, when scared enough, they can justify almost anything.
And that's the sobering takeaway. When fear enters the equation, the boundaries shift. Gladio is a reminder that democracies aren't immune to dark corners. But here's the hopeful part. Today, we've got more voices, more transparency, and more people asking the hard questions. So, while the shadows of the past explain some of our skepticism, they also remind us why staying vigilant matters. And of course, we'll keep mixing in a bit of humor, because a good laugh is the best antidote to fear.
Question. We should put that on a bumper sticker, that statement. Question everything, stay vigilant. That's probably already out there, but we could put our logo on there and maybe people would start watching. Maybe like a fancy little QR code.
Oh, you know it. Slap a logo on it. Maybe a beard silhouette and boom. Beard laws, question everything, laugh often. And yeah, a QR code. Because nothing says stay vigilant like a quick link to the latest episode. We'll keep them thinking and laughing because that's how we roll.
And let's leave them kind of with a question that they're left with, Luther. So here's the line that matters, right? If governments once justified terror to protect democracy, how certain are we they wouldn't justify it again? Not with bombs, not with trains, but with information. Fear cycles, psychological pressure, different tools, same strategy.
And that's the question we've got to hold on to, right? Democracy's strongest defense is a public that doesn't just accept, but questions. So as long as we've got a voice, and a podcast will remind everyone to stay sharp. Different era, same vigilance. And of course we'll do it with a wink and a laugh, because that's how we make sure we're not just informed, but empowered.
Stay sharp, like a short sword. Ooh, see what I did there?
Oh, I see what you did there, bringing it full Gladio circle. Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and maybe keep a metaphorical short sword handy. Just, not in the literal sense. And with that, I think we've sliced through this topic pretty well. Let's keep questioning and keep laughing. That's how we do it.
This is how we do it. Anyways, Operation Gladio isn't a mystery because it lacks evidence. It's a mystery because it has too much. Confirmed facts, missing accountability, and a silence that never quite feels accidental. So the next time a crisis erupts, the next time fear spreads faster than answers, like the drones in New Jersey, remember this, or maybe those weird balloons that were flying all over the place.
Remember that behind every narrative, there's a reason. It's up to us to ask who's telling it, why, and who stands to gain. History whispers that sometimes the loudest voices aren't the most honest. So question, think, and most importantly, don't let fear do the steering.
Yeah.
We've got the power and the podcast
sometimes
to keep that perspective
don't
sharp.
Come from outside the system. They come from within it. So you always have to stay curious and stay skeptical. And remember, fear is the most effective weapon ever invented. This has been the Triple T Podcast. We'll see you next time. Luther, my dude, I appreciate you so much. This has been a blast. And hit us with a killer outro, my dude.
You got it, Matt. Folks, thanks for riding the roller coaster of history with us where the truth is wild, but the company's always good. Stay bold, stay bearded, and stay curious. And remember, if the world's a mystery, we'll be here mics on, brains on, maybe a sandwich on the side. Until next time, this has been the TTT
Cheers.
podcast.
See you.
Cheers.
You next week, everybody. Take care.